Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. Emergency podcast. Juan Ayuso is officially leaving UAE Team Emirates. Where were you? Where were you when the news fell? I was up. So I'll run through my day for you. Rest day means meetings, then calls, and then went to the city with Mrs. Rouge. She said you have to do something nice for yourself for once. You've just been grinding. You've been too locked in. I said, you need to lock in. But anyway, she's like, you need a new cologne. You lost the other one. I went with the Eau de Parfum. No free ads, but, Eau de Parfum Prada Paradigm. Thought it was kind of interesting, as well as the Prada Ocean Eau de Parfum sort of daily driver. Came back, more calls, emails, and then I was like, I go to the mountain. Get on the mountain. Benji said, there's a bomber.
I spent my day live streaming, so I just came out of a 3.5-hour live stream on my channel, diving into a half-an-hour podcast live stream about Juan Ayuso. So hopefully my voice keeps holding up. But let's jump into it, shall we? Because
Luke's accusing me of being posh. Unfounded accusation. No,
come on.
Andorra is.
You're wearing a polo sweater.
First of all, didn't buy this. Was gifted or inherited. Secondly,
you look like you're about to golf.
Secondly, Andorra has cheap tobacco, alcohol, and perfume cosmetics. So it's actually the cheapest to buy it here. And I now smell like a duty-free shop. So at the airport, that's what I smell like. UAE,
talking about a duty-free shop?
Talking
UAE
about
Team
departures.
Emirates. Posted a social media message. I'll read out the tweet here. UAE Team Emirates XRG agreement to part ways with Juan Ayuso. UAE Team Emirates and XRG and Spanish rider Juan Ayuso have mutually agreed to an early termination of his contract, which was originally set to run until 2028. We'll get to your rant about long contracts in a bit. Ayuso will now remain on the roster until the end of 2025 after a decision was made following differences in the vision of development plans and in the alignment with the team's sporting philosophy. So far, any comments, Patrick? What is a mutual agreement to terminate? Is that the first step of a tri-party agreement where another team has signed him? Is that just Ayuso leaving UAE regardless of what happens afterwards? How do we see that?
Yeah, that's just Ayuso's out. Their contract's terminated, and then he's free to sign with another team on January 1st. Because you can take to the UCI. This is what Derek G obviously doesn't have, but they can take to the UCI here. Mutual termination between the two parties. He's free and clear to go, and he's any penalties or non-penalties. So he's free January 1st. But
the way I assume this is that we've heard some rumors about Little Trek potentially being a destination for Juan Ayuso. We've had Movistar rumors back in the day. I don't know if those Movistar rumors still exist, but the way I perceived it at first was, okay, we know that potentially Little Trek might be taking Juan Ayuso on. That's an ongoing rumor. If there's a tri-party agreement, for the people that don't know, let's say I'm a rider, I've got a contract until 2028. A different team wants to sign me and I want to leave. I still, on paper, need to have the agreement of my own team to depart for that to be possible without court issues, let's say. So let's say another team wants to pay for a buyout. A buyout does not work team to team. So it doesn't, let's say, hypothetically, Little Trek buys out Ayuso from UAE. Then the money doesn't go from Little Trek to UAE. It goes through the rider to avoid UCI rules issues. But how do we know if this is just the departure of Ayuso and not the first step of an announcement of the transfer?
Well, I think he will have another team lined up. He has to. Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't make sense otherwise. Although the way this has happened, I almost think there's a chance that's not the case. I mean, He's so good, he'll obviously have suitors. Movistar got a lot of money now. Enric Mas, unfortunately, is out for an indeterminate amount of time. He doesn't know when he's going to be back racing. Ayuso is the best Spanish GC rider in the world. He's a winning rider. Little Trek don't have a top tier GC rider. No offense, Chicone. And so we'll talk about the destinations maybe in a second, but I think this is just a mutual termination between the two. And the reason I sort of think that is the timing and also these quotes. And I'll now quote Mauro Gianetti, and then I will translate Mauro Gianetti from GM speak or CEO speak to what he sort of how I interpret it. And Mauro Gianetti, CEO of UAE Team Emirates XRG, what he says, I quote, "Juan has been a valuable talent, and we are grateful for what we have built together. At the same time, our sporting project has always been focused on continuity, group harmony, and building a winning team. We believe that in the best interest of both parties, this decision is the most consistent with the values that define our organization. UAE Team Emirates XRG will continue on its path of growth and development, confident that the team's identity and strength remain our foundation. We wish Juan every success in the future." The way I interpret that is, what I saw yesterday was so embarrassing and unacceptable that we can no longer tolerate that in the team. And Gianetti is like, we cannot. UAE Team Emirates is the best team in the world, the most winning team in the world. They have the best rider in the world. If you look at all their marketing communication, especially outside of like the Tour de France, it pushes that narrative, and what is also true, they're the most winning team in the world. It doesn't say we are Pogacar's vehicle to success. They want to be the best team in the world, and that's the image they want of the team. They're winning a race. They win 3 races a week. They win races even when there's none on in November. I mean, they are the most winning team in the world. They're going to break the record, and so they can't have this behavior continue indefinitely. They have to draw a line somewhere, and I think yesterday that was it.
I have a hard time believing this was done in just 24 hours.
Okay.
Like, sure, I agree that there's a realistic possibility that yesterday's actions were the drop that made the bucket flow over. That's a great expression, by the way. Nonetheless, the way my experience with teams, you've got experience with teams for sure, it would surprise me that a decision like this is made in 24 hours. It would need already an entire run-in of negotiations, conversations about this. And to me, based on what we've seen in the last couple of months, it was already a realistic possibility that Juan was leaving, regardless of what happened yesterday. So it is also very possible that it was just coming either way. Like, how do we see his Vuelta preparation, as in his Vuelta participation? Because we had the conversation 2.5, 3 weeks ago that Juan Ayuso had taken up a new agent, Giovanni Lombardi, and we discussed what could be the reason. Is it because he's trying to leave, or is it because he's trying to put pressure on the team to make him present at La Vuelta? Because on paper, he wasn't at La Vuelta, according to the schedule released 4 weeks ago. So those were 2 options. Is there a world, I'm just thinking out loud here, is there a world where they were aware that, or they had already agreed that the departure was happening, and as a result, UAE Team Emirates put him in the Vuelta because they want to take a last bit out of Ayuso last minute?
I actually don't know. I really don't know. It could be like what you're saying. I agree 100%. This didn't just happen like overnight, the whole thing. But what we do know is it sounds like Juan Ayuso has been asking out for a long time.
Yes.
And so he's been asking out for a long time. The team thinks we have a really big talent. No. They're saying no. They're saying no. They're saying no. They're saying maybe. They're saying no. Okay, maybe. And then maybe this was like, okay, let's run through their depth chart of GC talent. Who's their best GC rider?
Tadej Pogacar. Sorry, okay, I thought you were going to respond yourself.
He's number
Mark
one.
Soler.
I can't say his name.
He'll show up behind you if you say it 3 times.
Exactly. Fuck. With a photograph saying, "Don't video me." With a t-shirt saying, "Don't video me." It's like you're on live stream. What do you want me to do? You're at Tour de Romandie. There's live TV cameras. Number 2, Isaac Del Toro. Number 3, Joao Almeida. Number 4, Mateo Ramirez. Am I missing somebody?
I'm not sure I would put Del Toro above Almeida yet. Future potential? Sure.
We're living in the future.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah, I agree. Almeida and Del Toro is a wash. They're both pretty good. We agree on
Pretty
that.
good.
So they're both Grand Tour podium proven riders. Proven.
Yeah.
And they're young. So they got 3 plus the real young guy, Mateo Ramirez. Ayuso's podiumed a Vuelta, admittedly incredibly young. It didn't have a climb for the last 2 weeks. Didn't have a climb. Roglic crashed out. He's then not been performing in Grand Tours for various reasons. I think they just decided it wasn't worth the hassle anymore. Like, he's a very good rider. He won Tirreno. He's lots of really good. But is he going to win the Tour de France next year? No. Is he going to beat Del Toro or Almeida for sure in the Giro next year?
I agree with you that what Ayuso yesterday did was indefensible from like not helping the team standpoint, because rest day today, stage tomorrow where he's probably going to try and go in the breakaway, I assume. But how do we look at the actions of a Marc Soler then, who's riding for his own top 10 and decides to... He was there. He could have done what Vine did for Almeida.
Yeah. Although,
so he's also not riding for Almeida at the moment.
I rewatched the tape a lot, though.
Okay.
Nobody could have saved Joao Almeida.
I think so too. But regardless, that doesn't mean Ayuso shouldn't have been there just in case.
Agree. And listen, maybe one extra minute on 5% is enough to get Almeida at 7 seconds to bridge 7 seconds across to Vingegaard. But the reality is, when you rewatch it, Vine was on the wheel of Jorgensen. Vine had to let the wheel of Jorgensen go to wait for Almeida.
I would say, though, that Vine probably should have realized a little bit that Almeida wasn't going to follow that acceleration. It's literally what Almeida does every single time. So Vine's
but if
spending
you
a bullet.
If you can never follow the acceleration of your main GC rival,
then that is where your team needs to be with you to pull for the next minute. But like, I heard some criticism towards Jay Vine, for example, of like, he paced for 400 meters, stuff like that, but 400 meters at the tempo of Jonas Vingegaard and Jorgensen going all
attacking,
out.
Bro. What do you want him to do? Go faster.
Then he should be a GC rider.
But I don't know. It's a bit on Almeida. Like, come on, if you want to be the big dog and win a Vuelta, you do have to respond to an attack on 5%. On the other hand, 100%, what Ayuso did is indefensible, and an extra minute or two of helping could have made the difference for Almeida, who does need a Skytrain style of riding. But back to Ayuso, so it just sounds like, from the Gianetti quote, I would summarize that as saying, we cannot have this in our project anymore. It's disrupting the entire harmony of it, because he can't go to Quebec and Montreal because Pog won't have it.
Can we go through the timeline? As in the Juan Ayuso timeline? Because he was captivated by the team much and found them whatever in the U23 rankings. He was pretty damn dominant in the U23 rankings. Entered UAE Team Emirates in 2021, and like you said, he then ended up podiuming in his second year technically as a World Tour rider, even though his first year was half a year. So in his first 1.5 year, he ended up podiuming La Vuelta. You already mentioned that it was not necessarily the most competitive Vuelta, but it's still podiuming a Grand Tour. So the talent is clearly there as a GC rider, because that's at the same age that Pogacar podiumed the Grand Tour. A bit more competitive, that Vuelta, I would personally say. In 2023, he returns to La Vuelta. He arrives at La Vuelta and he comes fourth there behind the 3 Visma riders. In that Grand Tour, Almeida was the one that was not working for Juan Ayuso when he should be. We have to realize that as well. Plus, not just Almeida, Fisher Black was a good domestique in multiple stages, but then the team car made some crazy decisions, like on Bejes. Instead of having Fisher Black pace for Juan Ayuso, the team car decided that Fisher Black had to go up the road to solo chase Vingegaard, while Juan Ayuso had to, sit in the group behind while his GC rider opponents are riding off, and Almeida with him not doing anything for Ayuso. So I think that it's a larger issue than just Juan Ayuso. I agree with you that Ayuso 100% yesterday, indefensible, but there is this inherent problem at UAE Team Emirates where if you try to gather or hoard so many top-level GC riders or top-level talents, then it's gonna backfire in some way, especially the way it seems like they approached it. Sure, their results speak for themselves, but every now and then something goes wrong when it comes to people management. And I feel like the Giro was already an example of that. I think the Giro, tactically, let's be honest about it, Colle del Finestre, bit of a fuck up. But outside of that, that's also partially due to people management. The fact that McNulty was fighting for a top 10 means that you can't send him in the breakaway at the start of the stage. In doing so, you don't have that satellite rider up the road. Even another rider would have helped. But those are all details where...
Baroncini can just control the breakaway.
But there's these multiple moments where, for example, in this race, Soler gets the freedom to ride for a top 10 in GC.
Exactly.
That's also an example of a rider that should not be riding for GC in this race, that should be a pure domestique for Almeida, that gets these freedoms by the team, in the same way that Almeida and Ayuso were able to ride next to each other without helping each other in that 2023 Vuelta. Those are all examples of UAE Team Emirates trying to keep these people happy, all of them, in doing so negatively affecting the best riders sometimes. Because if you, in this example here, allow Ayuso and Vine to go in that breakaway, and then for example, have Soler go for a top 10, all that combined leads to situations that negatively affect the GC bit of Almeida to try and keep Soler, Juan Ayuso, and Vine happy along the way. In the same way that in that Vuelta in 2023, Almeida could ride for his own top 10 despite Ayuso having a podium bid just to keep Almeida happy.
Yeah.
So this is... Ayuso's a problem in this situation, but so has the people management been leading to these issues. I think that's fair.
Why does Ayuso get singled out as when he's riding like every other young rider? Isn't the deal that when Pog is there, you ride for Pog? And then, like...
And outside of Pog, they can do whatever they want. That's seemingly the reality.
The thing, like, if McNulty's not going to throw away a 9th on GC to help Del Toro win a Grand Tour, then why should Ayuso buck that trend to help Almeida still come second to Vingegaard? Like, why? And I guess we would, as like just cycling fans and wanting team cohesion, we're like, he should, come on. He won a stage already. Come on, just help Almeida. It's not a big deal. But he's like,
also, one of the reasons he should have done it yesterday is because we can talk about social media reputation and public reputation of a rider within the peloton not mattering as much as their performance, but it does matter. If another team sees you, or if the public completely hates you as a consequence of on a day where you could have done work, when it wouldn't have cost you that much to do it, I would argue, then it's better to do it to have that better reputation in the long run. Because it's not just social media, it's also other teams that see it. Now, I am personally of the opinion that Juan Ayuso is a very talented rider still, and I'm not too scared of saying that he definitely has chances to podium Grand Tours in the future. But even when he doesn't go for GC, he can win stage stuff like that. So the quality is there as a rider. So I do expect him to be valuable for his next team. As long as he's solo leader.
If you're Movistar and Enric, you can split Enric Vuelta, podium lock. Enric, you don't have to battle through the Tour de France anymore. Ayuso can do the Tour. Ayuso can do Giro Tour double as sole leader. Like Pablo Castrillo, great breakout year. Javier Roma, Ivan Romeo, great stuff. You're going to work for Juan Ayuso. He can podium the Giro and the Tour de France and the Vuelta, in theory. So,
Gegenhardt returns.
But to your point, it's like, if you're Ineos,
and
you see how it's gone down, you think it's a risk. Like you said, when you're advertising yourself to other teams, and that's why I'm like, if you think this happened, I think this did happen overnight or this morning, because if they terminated the contract before the Vuelta, why would you take him to the Vuelta and then when it turns into a media shit show, announce the rider's leaving on the first rest day and keep him in the race? By the way, he's still in the race, right?
Talking about the devil, I just got a text from Ayuso, but I can't read it out loud. Anyway.
What cologne? Asking what cologne.
What cologne is Ayuso using? No
free ads.
No free ads for Ayuso either. Come on.
I agree that he does seem to get he has been unfairly singled out his whole time at UAE as like a bad apple, when I'm not sure he plays by any different rules to the rules that have been set for the other young riders. Except for maybe in the Tour last year, the optics weren't so good when it's like you do have to work for pole gear.
Is there a world in which Ayuso tried to force his way out by riding the Vuelta like this? As in, he's being sent to the Vuelta, but he's being sent to the Vuelta, but he wants to leave, and he does so by, okay, first climb, I don't feel like I'm ready for GC, so I'm going to drop out of GC here. I'm going to go for my own chance in the breakaway there, and when I need to work, I'm not going to be there. That like racks up the frustration towards team management, I think. At what point does a team say, okay, is that a way to try and worm your way out? Is that a realistic way to do so?
It has to be, right?
On purpose or by accident? As in, is it his nature versus does he do it on purpose?
He dropped before the climb started yesterday. He came 157th. Like, it's a statement.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's playing 5D chess to leave UAE Team Emirates. Is the conclusion?
Well, but then because there was mixed messages from the beginning, because in the UAE press releases of the team announcement, it said we're here for 2 leaders to beat Vingegaard because Ayuso can be a second GC. Yeah, but you wouldn't say that if you...
The exact words was, we're here with leader Almeida and co-leader Ayuso.
We're here with sole leader Almeida and co-leader Ayuso. And Almeida's like, I'm so happy to have unfettered leadership. And he kind of does.
He does?
Yeah, but then I was like, okay, that's a great tactic because you do need the 2 against Vingegaard. And then the first mountain stage he drops and Ayuso says, oh yeah, I never thought I could go for GC here. 0 chance. I don't know why that was said in the press. So it's just, why bring him to the Vuelta? Why did they bring him to the Vuelta then? Because this is, like you said, this has been simmering.
Yeah.
He's still in the race. So at the mix zone tomorrow?
I don't expect him to leave the race. I expect him to win another stage in the Vuelta.
That's crazy.
I expect him to win another stage tomorrow, buddy. In the break.
Crazy.
On the back of announcing the departure, get in the breakaway, win the stage. Almeida loses 30 seconds in the peloton.
I mean,
isn't that great for this podcast as well? I'm enjoying that shit then. Like, I like Almeida, but I like drama as well.
Yeah, but how much is it worth to the team? It's embarrassing, no? If he wins tomorrow for the team.
I don't see that as embarrassing.
Almeida loses 30 seconds tomorrow.
Well, if Almeida loses 30 seconds, it's a different story, but...
Yeah, well, it could happen.
It could happen.
So, I mean... and then in the mix zone and the interviews afterwards, he could say anything. I don't know. It's the fact that he, in theory, is staying in the race. Listen, it's the evening before, maybe things can change, but the fact that he's staying in the race is like they have to share a bus together for 2 weeks with the riders. I don't know. That's surprising to me. We should read Ayuso's statement. I would like to thank the team for the support and opportunities they have given me over these years. I've had the chance to grow and to compete alongside the very best, and I know what I have learned will always remain part of my professional background. I now feel it is time for me to take a different path with the same enthusiasm, and I wish UAE Team Emirates XRG success for the future. So yeah, would you have done this if you were UAE, Benji?
Yes.
Would you have done this if you were Juan Ayuso?
Yes. And the reality of the situation is, Ayuso, based on what we've seen in the last 4 months, in terms of whether it's Peloton rumors versus external information, Ayuso wanted to leave this team. UAE Team Emirates arrives with a decision that they have to make. Can we make the decision here? Okay, we keep him in the team. There's drama that comes with it. Pay him a lot of money as well. And he doesn't want to be here, which will probably not lead to the results that we want from him. And on the other end, I have no clue what my other end was.
What's his most likely destination? It's Trek.
Well, based on the rumors, you'd say Little Trek, which, if you look at the team, they need a GC rider.
Yeah.
Like, Giulio Ciccone in this Vuelta is amazing. Let's be honest about it. But he could have also still been on the podium after yesterday.
He's doing exactly what we said would happen.
Where's he on I would GC? Argue that if he rode smarter yesterday, no.
Yeah, but where's he on
But
GC?
He didn't. He would have been on the podium still. Nah, he would have been top 4 still if he rode smarter yesterday.
Cool.
He didn't.
And we've had the first week's been the best possible week for him.
Yeah.
So, like, Ayuso's a more credible Tour de France podium guy.
Yeah.
Little Trek want to be the best, one of the best.
Is he injury fragile?
Yeah, I feel like he's had some knee stuff, right?
Knee stuff and his foot back in the day, no?
Yeah, the foot. But then you never knew. It was like, was it the foot or was there like disagreements within the team? I think I think Little Trek's the most likely destination, but then of course, yeah, there's Movistar, Ineos. I don't think Red Bull, because they have Remco.
They can't handle another one.
What I think this does show more longer term is these long contracts. I mean, if a rider really wants to leave, and then you can't really keep them there, because if they start, it can become so bad, the environment, that you eventually have to protect the environment and let them go, regardless, even though he had 3 years left.
How many years until it happens with Jan Christen?
Oh, he's got a different,
It's different rider, but he's caused quite a bit of drama this year as well.
I also think Jan Christen has got a little bit too much.
I think that's fair.
When the Langolotti thing, he wasn't closing the first group. He was closing the second group, which was chasing McNulty. It was in Poland. It was totally okay for Christen to chase that group, in my view. It was like Kuss chasing the second group, third group yesterday. Langolotti happened to win. McNulty still won GC. It was all chill. But you're right. It's these really long contracts, and in the end, if the rider becomes unhappy, if they're Pogačar, then, well, you just keep them, I guess. And then if they're not Pogačar, then how much? And I do think my last word on this. I think Del Toro this year has made this much. This has made the exit possible for Ayuso.
Yeah, because if Del Toro's not there, then he was higher up on the hierarchy. Then they're trying to force keep him. Then it might have taken another year, stuff like that.
So you're like, okay, sweet. Isaac Del Toro can co-lead the Giro with Almeida next year. Pogačar can win the Tour, and then the one that wants to do the Vuelta on his own can do the Vuelta. So that's that. Any other things from this transfer? I've not really read anything except the UAE press release. Does Machin?
I don't know.
Does Machin go?
I don't expect him to go.
Because Ayuso's his guy.
Ayuso's his guy, but it's not his only guy in the team, eh? But Ramirez might be his new guy.
Exactly. He saw Ramirez attacking on Tinha. He's like, sweet.
Maybe that's why he's allowed to go.
It's true, though. They just had a guy who, in his first year in the U23 team, is with Vidar, Nordhagen, Seixas, and Finn on the Tour de l'Avenir.
But the big question is, if Juan Ayuso leaves UAE Team Emirates and joins Little Trek, hypothetically, does that impact the formation of the Roodhof network?
No, well, he was never in it. He was never in the Roodhof network.
Was he a mercenary from outside that was in it trying to boycott it?
He never did the classics. See?
Also, what's up with Binyam? He's always in a car with Carrera, who's vaping on the other side of the car. What's happening there?
Wow. it's normal for his agent to visit him. I mean, he's in a team that's in rumors to have merger talks. He's their best rider. He's like the centerpiece of that whole merger if it happens. So
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. Where is he going? Does he stay?
where's
Does he
Vinny
go?
going? We could stay in the merged entity.
Could go to UAE,
Vinny
replacing
and Dali.
Ayuso.
Vinny and Dali.
Could become UAE sprinter.
Because Milano's going to Movistar apparently.
Okay.
I saw that rumor. And so, yeah, Benny is there. But Benny's a classics rider. I don't think he's a pure sprinter. I know he won the green jersey, but he's a classics rider.
Yeah,
So-
but who does UAE have for a passively ridden Gent-Wevelgem?
Or a passively ridden Britannia Classic yesterday.
Yeah.
You're right. Tadej Pogacar.
Yeah. Passively ridden Gent-Wevelgem, I'm not sure, but
We lost Kemmel. See ya.
he'll just make it active then. Then it's not a passive.
But he was going to do
Gent Wevelgem.
Gent-Wevelgem this year.
I didn't.
Yeah, because then he did Roubaix and then they took him off Gent-Wevelgem. So it is like, what was I going to, the thing I was going to end on was UAE are the best team this year. They could have probably already won 2 Grand Tours.
Yeah.
They are the most winning team. And
Now Visma might win 2 Grand Tours.
maybe. And still, it's not easy running a team. Like they're still, even with all the success,
Yeah.
success can still breed problems and it's not easy to manage everything. So,
But if these problems are your biggest problems, then you're relatively well off, I think. If you have so many big talents,
it's not like Arkea or Lotto's
Yeah.
problems. Yeah.
if you have so many top level talents that could win Grand Tours in the future, that one of them becomes unhappy and wants to leave, or 2 of them even become unhappy, want to leave, hypothetically in the next 2 years, then you've still got a bunch of them ready to launch it off and get victory. So
Especially because if Ayuso is going somewhere for unfettered tour leadership,
yeah,
you know what that UAE have? They have Pogacar. So it's like, well, okay, like you're not going to, you only don't let
Do
him go
not-
if you're scared he'll win the tour.
do not underestimate Joao Almeida, my friend.
Well, he's got to accelerate, Benji. At some point, he has to accelerate.
If he wants to and he has to accelerate, what if he wants to get second in this race?
At some point, he has to.
Because he's doing a great race to finish second. I'm of the opinion that Almeida can only win if Vingegaard has a bad day. So
Yeah. Anyway, that's our Juan Ayuso emergency podcast. Thanks for listening, as always. We tried to play both sides of the story, but we just had the UAE
Mate.
press release.
are you going back up the mountain now, or?
No, I'm done. That's all over for today. And we'll see you with the recap of Stage 10 tomorrow, which is going to be won by...
Juan Ayuso, baby!